It's kind of a funny indictment, though, of the entire situation, that the two groups that are focused on eradicating war go to war against each other.
Yeah.
Hey everybody, welcome back to the Stoneface Reactions. I'm Theta, this is Lessons, and we're back with another episode of Gundam 00. I'm so used to Universal Century stuff, I kind of feel like I should be adding stuff to it. You know, 0080, 0083.
Thinks the title gets longer and longer and longer and longer.
Well, no, 0080 War in the Pocket, 0083 Stardust Memory. Just 00 sounds like it's the beginning of a Universal Century show that just finished. Anyway, we come back as we normally do with notes, comments, and a board. So let's go ahead and look at that board first thing. Where with the board changelog, I added purple and orange Haru and connected them together with a blue line. I changed the Trinity green line to a blue line. I connected Nina to Setsuna with a white line. I connected Michael to Setsuna with a red line. I added Akita and connected him with a green line to Kinui. I connected the Trinity line to the M-SWAD line with a red line. I marked Eichmann as dead. I marked Howard as dead. I added Mr. Halvey. I marked both Mr. Halvey and Mrs. Halvey as dead, although that could be in contention. I connected Nina to the Halvey line with a red line.
Unlikely that the Halvey?
I say Halvey.
Halvey, actually.
I'm like abbreviating Hale to Halvey. I don't know. I don't know.
Halvey.
I'm not them, and they're not here to defend themselves.
No.
I just have a note specifically about it might be contentious if they're alive or not. I mean, probably they are dead. It's just the element that I translated something that doesn't get translated in the show. That I didn't even read the first time I watched the show, so.
No, these all seem to track, basically. So I will go then into notes, which I have a few of. 17 notes. Episode 17, Assault of the Thrones. Developing the Gundams out in Jupiter orbit would help keep them a secret, but this raises more questions than it answers.
Oh, you had a note about that? Man, I didn't write anything about that. Obviously, my first note would literally be about the same thing. So, the 80 years ago flashback that the episode starts with, the current year, here's a future note about this, I'm wrong. The current year is 2307. It's not. So 80 years ago would be 2227. It's not. For reference, the furthest back date we've gotten, or at least that I have listed, was my previous guess that the first solar power war took place in 2269. That's still true. That was based on finding out that the solar power wars were fought over 20 years. We know that the fourth one was in 2289. That was the last one we've heard of, so if it was the last one, that would make the first one in 2269. So whatever these ships were doing out by Jupiter, beyond the dates we have on Scheinberg, these are some of the earliest moments in the timeline. And they really only serve to hint at even earlier stuff. We get... Sorry, bad copy and paste job from my own notes. Sometimes I get, to the end of the episode and I realize, oh shit, I gotta change stuff about my first paragraph because now we know more shit. We get from Eichmann later that the GN particle generators could only be developed in a Jupiter-like environment. Jovian, he says, but same thing. Which would explain what it was doing there. Also, thanks to him, we know that it was an expedition that launched in 2187. But not what happened to it. Why did those two have schematics on it, for example? Were they looking for something specific or just salvaging in general? What happened to the ship that dead bodies were just floating around? How did Purple Haru get from there to Trinity? And my future note here about the dates being wrong at the beginning. Future note, upped all of those years by one on my calendar of events. We later see Howard's grave, and it reminded me that it was 2308, not 2307 anymore, because it was 2307 at the start. I don't remember them saying that a year had passed, but I will also admit here in the note section that we haven't recorded 00 in a while, so.
Well, I'm going to read my two notes because I separated them because I'm doing the bullet points and it wasn't working out the way I was writing them. But these are some of the questions that I hinted at in the first note. Who are these people who flew 6 years from Earth to Jupiter to get their hands on whatever technology was being developed here?
Who are these people?
Yeah. And what happened to the people aboard that ship? Was it an accident or deliberate sabotage?
I mean, same questions, except I didn't throw out the sabotage angle. I think there's legitimately not enough information, I think, to even throw out sabotage. This is like the Event Horizons come back. What? You know, it's like, what is the thing doing out here? And legit, just body floating there. I don't know what the implication is.
They didn't have time to put on a suit or anything, so yeah.
Well, I don't know. He doesn't seem to have. I don't know. I don't know. I keep saying I don't know. I'm in a loop. I'm in a mental loop. The idea is that he didn't seem to be suffering like explosive decompression or anything. Although we don't really see a lot of him. I don't know what that would imply, though. That maybe he died before they was exposed to space?
But he was preserved.
Well, that's what I'm saying. The element is that his cells weren't alive to, rupture due to exposure. Yeah. So the possibility is he was already in decomposition. Well, in decomposition, your cells would still be active. I don't know. Back in the loop again.
He could have died shortly before decompression, which would expose his body to the vacuum. Exposed, and that would have.
No, I'm not making fun of you mispronouncing a thing. It just sounded like a Three Stooges thing. Expose, immortalize them.
Would have slowed down or even prevented decay because the bacteria would.
He would still have looked gaunt or something because you would have to be dead enough that the process would have your most of the remaining processes of your body would have had to have stopped. And he didn't look gaunt from like the somewhat angle you see him, like the half face that you get.
Yeah.
Trinity has 4 solar reactors, 1 for each Gundam and 1 for their ship. I think that's at least 1 less than our main group has, I believe. That'd be 4, 1 for each of the Gundams they have, plus whatever the Ptolemos has, which, by the way, in English translation, they say Ptolemos. They don't say Ptolemos. So maybe just me getting it wrong still. Likely they have at least 1 on the ship, I think, but I can't remember what they said. I know they've called out that the Ptolemos has 1. And I'm pretty sure we've seen the ship has a shield around it, which requires a generator. So
now this is a long note, so bear with
me. I think they called it a Ptolemaeus or something like that. Like they enunciated.
Ptolemaeus, yes. But they use, I think one word is for the launch platform.
No, that's the Ptolemy. I'm talking about when they talk about the Ptolemos, the main ship itself that the Ptolemy docks into. In the English dub, they say like Ptolemaeus or something like that, where I've gotten used to saying the Ptolemos. Which, I used to pronounce the P, so at least I'm making progress.
Yeah, Ptolemos.
The Ptolemos. It's important you spit on people.
This is going to be a long note, so bear with me. Includes a couple of questions, at least one question. If the people that recovered that Harrow are behind the thrones, are they a rival faction to Celestial Being or a breakaway faction from Celestial Being? I mean, a lot can happen in 200 years. I'm surprised that they managed to keep this a secret for so long, even if I quote, digital security was weak in the 21st century. They are not embedded database, but then again, who is to say that people behind Celestial Being gave all the information to Veda, considering the secrecy of the project?
I got a note that addressed part of what you said, but I'll also correct you on a different thing. You were saying even if security was bad in the 21st century?
They said a couple of times.
No, I mean that the expedition to Jupiter was launched in 2188, as I covered in my first note.
22nd century.
Yeah, so that wouldn't apply to what you said there. And my other note, skipping ahead, to address, you addressed the Haru thing, which I also addressed in my first note, but I have a note specifically about it. Clearly, Orange Haru is a copy of Purple Haru, which must mean that before Purple Haru found its way into the hands of Trinity, that it was at some point somewhere where the rest of Celestial Being could make use of it, which must lend some credence towards Trinity being a legitimate branch of Celestial Being. Big Brother, as I indicated during the reaction, which I don't remember if we talked about at all, implies to me that they are copies. They're copies of Purple Haru. So how did it get from there to Trinity? And in the middle point, which is the second note here that I just mentioned, at some point must have gotten into the hands of Celestial Being, which is a handoff connection point between this past thing that we saw 80 years ago Celestial being in possession, and then Trinity being in possession. I mean, that's enough to institute Rico if I've ever heard one.
On my next note, then. Okay, I see what they're doing here. The writers showed us how extreme the original Gundam Meisters are, and in order to position them as the good guys, we have the Thrones act even crazier by comparison.
Except for everything that I said during the reaction. That the Thrones are just doing the same things the original Gundam Meisters did.
Well, yes, and there's something else that I'm going to talk later on my notes about.
Well, yeah, of course, there's always a yes, and there's one side clearly we're supposed to root for, and the other guy that's not. I just don't root for the guys that we're supposed to root for either.
That's fair.
Johann Trinity pilots the Throne Eins, aka 1, and has 2 moles under his left eye. Michael Trinity pilots the Throne's Y, aka 2, and has 1 mole under his left eye. Nina pilots Throne Dry, aka 3, and her face is covered in freckles. The visual motif fell off immediately. Although it never lined up to begin with, because again, Johann has 2, Michael has 1, Nina has...
Yeah. He's just crazy.
Well, just, I thought it would make more sense if Johann, who has 2, would be in Throne's Y, but we needed that guy to be in charge because he's the most logical and cold of them. Michael, who is very emotional, he has 1, so he shouldn't be in Throne Eins, but they decided 1 should be in charge. I don't know. Like I said, the visual motif seems to fall apart, and it was never followed to begin with. I don't know if it meant to be anything, but it's hard not to notice.
The fact that the newer Haru recognizes the older Haru should be more important than the reaction from the Gundam team. Yes.
Yeah, Haru's just say random shit all the time.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. It might not mean anything to them because the Harus just say random shit. Twice. I say I appreciate the Harus more now than I did originally, because I think me and Griffin watched this one right after Witch from Mercury. So the Haru in Witch from Mercury was the first Haru I'd ever seen. Well, when I say the Haru, there's not a singular Haru in Witch from Mercury. They're just around. There's not like a mascot Haru that I can recall in Witch from Mercury. So also they do like normal ass shit. There's like literally a therapist Haru for their kids. But this one, coming into this one, I just found it to be annoying because it was just say random shit twice. I don't mind it so much anymore. It's bad enough that they let Nina wander the ship. It's that they asked permission first, and then when Nina asked Setsuna to come with, they still let her go alone. So whatever she did could have been avoided. I assume that they thought that they could keep track of her, since a number of other shots were of the bridge crew watching them on the cameras. Obviously, Purple Haru must have messed with something.
I'll go to my next note because it's in the form of questions, but it's basically the same thing. Why would you allow a clearly crazy girl free reign on your ship? Your top secret, nobody's supposed to know about this ship.
I think a more flippant me would have made like a checklist. Hey, you mind if I go wander the ship? No. That would have been one. And then, hey, you want to come with me? Yes, would have been the next one. And then, hey guys, you got like a mark on her? Talking to the bridge crew. No, we don't. Hey, Setsuna, go check on her. Okay. What about a whole checklist of things? But now, like, these people saw her leave because they was like, I don't like her. Well, you like Setsuna? No, it's not my, they had a whole conversation. So they saw her leave. Presumably could have kept a track on her. We've seen camera, what's his name? Terra. We've seen Terra watching everybody in the halls, so we know the cameras are in the halls. Although Purple Haru vanishes almost immediately after Orange Haru encounters it, so Purple Haru also has been wandering. And again, not for nothing, it's the color of when Terra is in that chamber later checking on access levels to Veda. The stuff that's been messed with is purple, so presumably Nina might have been doing nothing. Nina might be the cover for Purple Haru doing something.
That was my last note. I was waiting for you to. Yeah.
What was your last note?
I was responding to your note.
Oh, okay. That was confusion because I just finished saying a whole thing about that. And then I looked back at my notes and was like, well, my last note was literally about this, so I must have been finishing my own thought.
No, I literally told you. My last note is what you just said, but in the form of questions.
Right. Well, bad luck on Eichmann for having his epiphany right when the Thrones team showed up. We got his inner monologue as he was typing. No doubt he was moments away from sending the message elsewhere, but the GN particles would have prevented that communication, meaning that his findings were likely destroyed along with the man himself.
I haven't gotten there yet. So, well, actually, I have a pithy note about it. So, but before I do that, okay, so the engineer got a good look at one of the throne Gundams, but at the cost of Nina or Purple Haru hacking Veda.
I mean, I would argue that those are independent things.
But still,
He
that's what
is the
I mean, they're
engineer. He
independent.
would have been available to do that without having to keep track of Nina. It's the bridge crew who fucked up. He's not
I'm not,
part of the
I'm
bridge
not,
crew. I know what you're saying.
I'm
You
not,
said at the
yeah,
cost of. That's what I'm saying. It's
yeah.
not at the cost of. Him going to check on their Gundam was not him not keeping track of Nina. So that's not at the cost of.
No,
Since
no,
I'm
I'm not putting it
clarifying
on
your statement.
him.
That's all I'm doing.
I'm not putting it on him. I'm actually putting it
That's
on
what
the
I'm saying. You
viewer
said
because
at the cost of. It's not
Yeah.
a cost then. It wasn't. This isn't a zero sum for. You can go. If you're like playing the choose your own adventure route, you can send your engineer to keep track of girl wandering ship or check on their Gundam. That's what I'm saying. That's not the cost. Apparently, the bridge crew gossiping was the cost. Your bridge crew can either gossip about which boys they like or keep track of girl wandering ship. Chose poorly. Interesting that Celestial Being once again makes the distinction between America and the Union when they talk about the military base being attacked. An American military base has been attacked? You mean a Union military base?
I mean, it might well be the relationship between the larger Union and America.
But America is part of the Union.
Yeah.
Right. If we said we wouldn't say a Japanese military base got attacked because, Japan's still a thing. We would say a Union military base got attacked. So why is America getting special treatment?
Well, it would be like saying an American base versus, say, a NATO base, right?
We say an HRL base gets attacked. We don't say a Chinese base gets attacked. So I'm saying we make the distinction only for America. This is weird. Or interesting, as I said.
Yeah. My last note on this episode, Ralph Eichmann, by Jove, I got it, then dies.
Pretty sure it's Eureka. I think I've got it.
You can also say by Jove as well. Actually, that was the one who said by Jove was the scientist in Back to the Future. He used to say that a lot.
Oh, he says Great Scott.
That too.
I don't remember him ever saying by Jove. No era of him said by Jove.
Yep, by Jove. It's a dated British exclamation of surprise or emphasis, often used as a mild
I didn't
oath.
say that it wasn't a saying. I think I'm arguing for no good reason at this point that it's not by, well, somebody may have said it. Someone at any point in history could have said by Jove, I think I've got it. But I'm pretty sure the saying is typically Eureka, I think I've got it, famous for guy getting out of bathtub.
Yes.
But sorry, now I've talked enough. I can't remember the scientist's name from Back to the Future.
Yeah, he would not say by Jove.
No, he was a Great Scott. But I don't remember him ever saying, I think I've got it. So they keep attacking military bases for no good reason. Strange call-out, Lock-On. The guy you are talking to is the one that we saw go back to Ceylon after the mission was done to attack a military base that wasn't actively doing anything. Setsuna might be leading the charge against these guys not being real Gundam Meisters, but he's the one most guilty of doing the thing being complained about.
I'll answer your note with my note. First note on episode 18, the aim of evil intense. Saying that the throne's attacks on military installations are more extreme that the extreme that CB past attacks doesn't make sense. They are simply doing what Celestial Being has done, but with more blood, with a more bloodthirsty edge. If you don't count blowing up a building full of kids, that is. And no, I'm not letting that one go.
I don't. I think the thing that's giving me pause is with a more bloodthirsty edge.
They seem to be enjoying it, right? They're like,
actually, they're not.
Yeah.
They're not enjoying it. They're bored. They're bored and tired. That's why they go off to attack the civilians and everything, because they're bored. Like, oh god, another mission. If they were enjoying it, they'd be like, oh yeah, it'd be an insane look or something. But they're not actively enjoying it. They're getting bored by it. That was Nina's whole point. What are you guys doing having a party while we're out here busy? And then she entertains herself. And then Michael wants to get into additional fights. Because apparently, it's just too easy.
Yeah.
which is a future note I also have, but not the next one. Alejandro claims his access level only gives him limited information on Trinity, but the implication of that also suggests things of its own. If Veda has information on Trinity and is blocking it from everyone, wouldn't that suggest that they are a part of the group with information that needs to be guarded, just like the Celestial Being members? That is, of course, unless Veda really has been hacked, in which case it's entirely possible that the block comes from the hack itself, and otherwise Veda would be telling them about Trinity. Both things could be true.
Or a third could be that whatever got hacked had nothing, may have done nothing to do with them, but not in a direct way. Like Veda might have picked up signs of, oh, this is something that should be investigated, as opposed to, I know what's going on, right? In which case,
well, I mean, that doesn't really. My point is that he can't access information about Trinity, but there is information about Trinity, and my point being that that information about Trinity even existing could mean that it's the same thing as the Gundam Meisters, which is to say it's off limits to everybody because it needs to defend or protect the Gundam Meisters from identification, or that it's just information about Trinity not actually being Gundam Meisters, and it's being blocked from that perspective. I'm only addressing the information about Trinity, not the hack.
This is a question that just popped up to the way this shot came out just after Alejandro said that. Is Ribbons connected to the thrones in some way?
Why? Because he's glad that he met Ribbons? That it was destiny?
It was more how the shot was framed. He says, oh, I don't have any information about the thrones, and then it cuts to Ribbons sort of standing in top of the building looking out like why cut to him?
That's what I said during the reaction.
Yeah.
I mean, there's also the element of, because previously we've been guessing that Ribbons was his bodyguard, and I even threw out there, well, if he's his bodyguard, why isn't Ribbons present when he gets off the plane and everything? Famously, the places where he would need his bodyguard the most, Ribbons isn't there. But he's there during a bar scene. If the world thinks Trinity are our allies, then it would be dangerous to go on any missions right now. Dangerous for who? Certainly not the Gundams that fought the entire world to a standstill, and that was a location of the world's choosing. They'd stand no chance if Celestial Being just showed up somewhere they were unprepared for. Dangerous only if we hadn't seen the last 17 episodes.
Yeah. I mean, it took a lot of efforts and coordination and hours of combat just to bring the original team to the point of where they were in.
And then my point being is that was a location of your choosing. You had to set up the entire world for a day, like a whole day's worth of combat to get them there. It wouldn't be dangerous if they just fucking showed up somewhere you weren't unprepared for. Especially all of them, if all of them showed up at once.
So, my next point. So these thrones use a copy of the GN drive, which appears to be more powerful, but has less endurance, according to the engineer.
He didn't say more powerful.
Well, the way we've seen on screen seems to be more powerful.
I don't know. Legitimately, Tierra's is the big bulky one, right? Tierra's cannon fires bigger beams than it looks like the two thrones combined do, and those two have to hook up. So I would argue that looks more like the Celestial Being Gundams are more powerful.
Yeah, but they also can spread their GN particles over a much wider area.
But what does that really do?
Well, actually,
I mean, I feel like I'm not trying to like pick a fight here, but it really feels like your argument is that Jubilee is the strongest X-Men. Like that doesn't. I mean, any Marvel fan right now is like, no, Storm can actually power stuff more. I'm just saying that if you like only judge the X-Men based on their powers in the opening of the show, Jubilee is the most powerful thing. The news of this is my possible argument for all of Luis's family not being dead. The news article Sachi was reading on the bus that the attack, says that the attack left 40 people dead and 47 people injured, despite what the nurse says about her parents and all of her relatives being lost in the accident.
I mean, it was
the implication then being that if there's 87 people at the party, only 40 Helvies showed up and they died, and that 47 of the groom's family showed up and they survived.
Yeah,
I'm not saying it's impossible. Maybe the Helvies are a little bit antisocial and they all grouped up together, and then they were right where the shot was.
The groom would be a member of the family because he married into the family, so yeah, I guess he could count as a member of the family, right?
Well, no, I'm just they weren't getting married yet. I mean, that was the engagement party or something like that. It was like
No, it was the reception. The reception. It was the after party.
No, I'm pretty
They already
sure it
had
doesn't
gotten
matter. Lessons. At the end of the day, I'm distributing groom family, fiance's family, and I'm just
and
saying.
sort of guest
Say what?
as well. You know,
No, it's entirely possible.
Well.
Yeah, I'm just saying the distribution of numbers being almost down the middle. Like we're 4 people off from being half and half. It seems unlikely that her entire family would be dead. But again, this is literally written in Japanese on his phone, screenshot, take that to translation, because otherwise that's not information said verbally.
This is a return to a question we asked before. What exactly did Nina do to Veda, if it was her, or the other option would be Purple Haru?
I mean, I've already addressed it with my Trinity idea, and then you already had your third thing. I mean, it could be anything. I'm only addressing a conversation point brought up by somebody else. And my final note, because again, this is mostly on you, I'm trying not to give away everything that I actually do know. This whole civilian involvement thing is an issue I feel like they've created from nothing. They attacked Tarabia's defenses in the middle of a city filled with civilians. They intervene against threats that could create war, regardless of what they are or whose side they're on. I wouldn't have any doubts that they'd attack a munitions factory after everything they've done so far. The fact that civilians work there wouldn't even enter into my considerations about what might prevent Celestial Being from doing it. Hell, even before they cover any of it, one of the girls on the crew, on the bridge rather, literally says, maybe they were advocating conflict. She was already getting on board about why they might have done it.
I mean, it's a munition factory, so if you want to wage war, you need munitions. So by that logic, yeah.
Well, yeah, but I don't. Why do we care who's working for the place when you've just attacked anybody before? Technically, the drug dealers were civilians.
I have notes that address that in a way, so I won't answer it right away. Did the Crossroads die because Kinue's father discovered something he wasn't meant to know?
No, what are you talking about?
You know, she's looking at her father. Kinue is looking at her father's picture, thinking, "Oh, I'll get to the bottom of this." Kind of hinting that maybe he too was a reporter as well.
No, she's being wistful of the past.
Yeah.
No, Nina attacked him because, as I just previously said, she was bored.
No. Kinue is Kinue Crossroad. Sanji's elder sister.
Didn't you just say Nina? Didn't you bring up Nina?
Kinue.
No, I understood that. I understood that part. I thought you brought up Nina in the middle of it.
I know. I brought in the last comment. I brought Nina talking about Veda.
No. I thought you said Nina's name in the middle of this comment. That's why I was talking about the Halvey attack again.
No. That was.
I don't rightly remember off the top of my head if they've ever covered what happened to their parents. They just have said before that they're dead.
Yeah.
I feel like if it was the case, they would have brought it up before.
I mean, if they knew their parents died violently.
No. I mean, they would have given us some breadcrumb to that. I mean, unless this is it now, in which case I think you're jumping the gun pretty damn early.
I mean, we do see a scene which I didn't know about, the guy who was the informer, Kinue's informer, who then goes into an alley and gets shot. We don't know if they live or die, but
I would assume they're dead. They're a nothing character. They're a side character.
Yeah,
tertiary character.
Clearly, whoever's behind Celestial Being or this faction of Celestial Being is perfectly willing to kill people to keep the secret, right?
Yeah, but I mean, we've got no information about what her father even did. So that's what I'm saying. It seems a bit early to jump the gun on that one. I mean, make up any ideas you want. I'm not getting on you for coming up with theories. I just think, that guy was lucky or unlucky. I mean, he was unlucky. Clearly, he died. Plus, his daughter's birthday is going to suck now. But the idea being that he was lucky, or Kinue was lucky, that he got to her to pass the information off before, minutes before. Although, is that lucky if they're literally shooting people in the street? Who's the last person you was seen talking to? This reporter lady. We better get on that.
Yeah. And we don't know exactly who killed him, right? Only that they decided to, go that route.
I would argue not very clever route. It's literally a run and gun. Or not a run and gun. Drive-by.
Drive-by, yeah. Although if they'd been not the Union, yeah, the Union, they would have like, you're one of our soldiers. We're going to bring you in and question you about this, right? It's much easier to question him and try to tell him what he told the reporter and follow up on that.
So that's the
than
thing.
just
She didn't
gunning it.
report it.
No, but if they suspect that he's leaking secrets, right?
No.
Gunning him down doesn't make sense.
He, in the battle, saw Nina and heard her over say something, and then did not report that.
Reported, yeah. Okay.
So they don't know that he. Well, I don't know. Wait. When you say he's leaking secrets, are you talking about Celestial Being or the Union? Because I'm thinking you're talking about the Union, and that's what I'm disagreeing with.
If the Union suspected that he was, meeting with a reporter, right, and leaking whatever, maybe they don't know what he knows, but they're like, oh, this is happening. This is suspicious. They would just bring him in and question him. So I don't think the Union was one that killed them. I was thinking, who would have
Who stands to
reason to kill
gain?
him? It's who stands to gain, right?
That was our number one
The
question
Union-
when someone dies. Who stands to gain?
Okay, yeah. So Union is like, well, he's one of us. Just bring him in. We can put him in prison and just
We had any
question him.
forethought, we would like make an end card.
Yeah.
We just saw X die. Who stands to gain? Was it
Yeah.
Maggie Simpson? Was it
Yeah.
the bullet of subsects? Just a Maggie Simpson? Was it Ned Flanders? I mean, I'm sorry. All I can think of is Simpson characters right now.
Now I will mention Nana. Okay, now Nana went from being a bit crazy to a murderous psychopath. Fuck her. Honest to God, just fuck her.
I mean, whatever your preference is, man.
That's not how I meant her. I meant that at all.
That's what you meant her? See, now she's in your head.
Yeah, no. My next note, and this is my second to last. Saji works his ass off to buy the rings that Louise wanted, only for her not to be able to wear them because she lost her arm due to Nana's attack on the wedding's reception. Did I mention I hate Nana with a passion?
Hey, man, I've been going on about my favorite two characters. And obviously, I remembered this was coming.
Yeah.
So, on the next time on, when I saw a wedding party was happening, it's like, fuck, it's that episode coming up.
Yeah.
I think I had more attachment to them back in the original watch through because I had such a disattachment to everything else. Then it's like, oh man, my favorite two fucking characters. It's like, no. Although I will say, I remember it being a lot worse the first time I watched it. Probably because I was just coming to the realization, it's like, oh my god, she probably doesn't have another arm. And then she does the thing, and it's like, oh god, no. I didn't even put any, I did not, Saji working really hard didn't even equate in my head the first time around. That he was saving up to buy the rings, because we previously joked about him being a pizza delivery boy. So it's just seeing him as a pizza delivery boy, which is like, okay, that's just more of the same.
Yeah, but he also mentions that he had to work during the time that he was taking the exams, that he was taking
lessons. I wasn't taking notes back then.
Okay.
Legitimately wasn't keeping track. I was disinterested. This is my first time giving the show an actual crack. Yeah. I'll admit, though, even now, I wasn't paying attention, but I didn't clock it. Also, that you put it out there before I even would have been able to, because you said during the reaction, oh, he's saving to buy the rings. It's like, oh yeah, probably. That makes sense. So it didn't even have a moment to have an epiphany of my own.
And the last note of this episode. I doubt the Exia will be able to defeat the thrones all by itself, but I would be happy if he takes out Nana. I have a grudge, and I'm not letting it go. Now they're gonna give the throne some tragic backstory, and oh my god, she was tortured or something. It's like, oh god.
I mean, they are family.
Yeah, that's family of murderers. But then, Celestial Being.
It was an unrelated group of murderers.
Yes, it's like, oh,
or
yeah,
terrorists.
Yeah. Terrorists. Terror. There you have it. Those were my notes.
Yeah, just things I would like to say, but can only say in hindsight or retrospect after we're past it. Yep. Like I was bringing up before about Saji being a pizza boy. I joked to you about a pizza boy in Gundam before, and then we got here and I had to wait for Saji to actually be a pizza boy.
Yeah. And he doesn't work in McDonald's.
But like the devil?
No, like in Seda.
No, this is a joke that we pulled out before, because the devil's a part-timer. He also doesn't work at McDonald's. No, sorry, yeah. He does. He works at McDonald's. It's the guy from Bunny Girl doesn't work at McDonald's. He just works at some food place.
Yeah.
Anyways, as I'm saying, I'm just referencing a previous Lisa joke. I did say that we had comments, and of course, you get to read the first one.
Oh. My eyes. God damn it, my eyes. Oh, here we go. Killing Winslow, 1988, from Seven Swords. Gundam 00 ran from 2007 to 2009, so a few years after the DS came out. The 3DS came out in 2011, so it's actually pretty close to that system. Okay, I think I remember
A number of
why
commenters bringing up the DS. So clearly somebody said something about the DS. I never would
Yeah.
have because it's not my thing. I never had one, whatever. So it must have been
Same
you.
here. Yeah. I think it's something that Sachi's playing with that looks like the DS. I think that's what it is. I don't recall. A few episodes ago, when Theta mentioned Get Smart, a favorite of mine, you guys talk about the best Gundam show so far. For me, the best would be Gundam 0080, MS-18, Unicorn, Charge, Counterattack, the original movies, and Hathaway, although that is unfinished yet. Well, we haven't seen Unicorn, Charge, Counterattack,
Oh,
or
you have.
Hathaway. So we can't comment on that. So Double O has one of my favorite soundtracks for the spin-off shows, but I'm a big fan of Kenji Kawai's scores for Maramuro's Oshi work, so I'm a bit biased there. Gundam, one of the three pillars of sci-fi along with Yamato and Macross, although like Theta, I will say that Macross Delta was so bad that I nearly put it at an F. Personal opinions being what they are. It really soured me to the future of Macross. It hasn't been done nearly as well as Gundam or Yamato. Okay.
Well, I mean, we did our rankings, and I disagree heavily with your opinion. So
there was that. Let's not think of that. That dead horse already.
It's not dead for me. I have to load the concept board every time I want to do these things, so I see the cross show rankings chart.
But as for Theta's point of this, about the start of the show and the questions the show can raise is a good one. Sometimes the answers are terrible, see Game of Thrones, and sometimes the show can really stick the landing. I think that Gundam 00 is somewhere in between, but I don't think a show or film needs to answer everything. Insert detective joke here. Sometimes what you imagine is better. Things like Alien and Highlander both benefit from not knowing too much, and when things get over-explained, they just destroy the series. I do think things are explained fairly well in 00, but we'll see what lesson thinks at the end, as I will probably have notes about that. Only focusing on the eradication of war through violence and not even trying to save people is more of a hang-up Tyria has, since he follows what Veda tells him to a fault. I don't think the other members are really opposed to helping save people when it's needed. The eradication of war isn't the only goal at play here, but I'll say no more until later. I just say you need to improve people first and leave it at that for now. Here's Al Sachez. Theta is right about him. He's an absolute scumbag of the... Yeah. He's an absolute scumbag of the highest order, but he's not boring to watch. The AU kind of reminds me of Nerve from Evangelion through less evil. That's possible. That doesn't mean that they're great, though. We'll see what they do. So far, I don't know if any organization is good, in quotation marks. They are individuals who are or try to be, but certain groups tend to drag people down into the muck. And again, we'll see if that can be improved or not by the end. Still enjoying you guys' reactions on Gundam stuff in general.
Explain your Evangelion comment that you threw in there.
Well, because Nerve turns out to be horrifically bad at the end. Well, not even at the end. It's it's instrumentality. I don't know if people haven't watched Evangelion.
If you're saying human instrumentality was bad?
Yeah.
Okay. Maybe disagree. I don't know. The thing is, I thought you were saying something because my problem is that I watched Evangelion once, like a long time ago. It must have been almost 30 years now, right?
Yeah, in the 1990s, late 1990s.
Yeah. So, I mean, when it first came out, I was watching week to week, but I do not remember anything except for a couple of uncomfortable parts, and then the very end, by which I mean the human instrumentality thing, and then also the clapping, the self, not I was about to call it self-aggrandizement, that's not it, self-actualization. The self-actualization ending.
I watched the movie as well, which has the other ending, but I haven't watched the...
Yeah, I was saying the other ending is the human instrumentality ending, isn't it? And that's the one that comes from the movie. Because I remember I saw the actual ending from the show, and then I went and saw the other ending, which is what happens in the real world and not in his mind. See, one of my favorite...
both of those endings are actually valid, because in the ending of the original series, he stops instrumentation. So that's why when he gets to realize the value of the individual...
Well, they both can't be valid then if you're saying that one stops the other one, because the other one happens in the other one. The choking out Asaka, or whatever her fucking name is, Asuka? Yeah. Choking her out happens post-human instrumentality. So they both can't be valid.
They're parallel. The story of the movie is somewhat of a retelling of what happens in the series. So it's not really a continuation of it, or not the real ending. Both of them are endings in their own right. And then you have the remakes, which
don't spoil because I haven't seen them, and I might someday.
I haven't seen them either. So there'll be two sets of remakes. Sets of remakes. So that makes for at least 6, because there are 3 movies each, I think. Or 1 series of 3 movies.
But my point was that I'm not directly opposed to human instrumentality. I was going to say one of my favorite books. I have a lot of favorite books if you listen to this channel enough. One of my favorite authors, Greg Bear, has a book called Blood Music, which is literally about essentially the creation of intelligent cells. And those intelligent cells, expand like a virus. But they also essentially copy the mind of the body that they came from. So your intelligence exists in like a microscopic world of the cells. But essentially, I would say that the world of Blood Music, closest to the end, is not so different from what the world looked like after human instrumentality, except, ironically, the book Blood Music, well, more like the world covered in flesh, versus the human instrumentality in Evangelion, the world coated in blood. But, I've said before, I would be pro-Borg, so I got no inherent... nothing against the new sphere, as it were, the collective consciousness of the human race.
Well, that's just a comment.
Well, that's what I was going on when you said that Nerve was really evil or something. I was like, I don't quite remember what they got up to leading up to the end. So if they did something like horrendously evil beyond just human instrumentality, I wouldn't be able to defend that element, right? Like if they were torturing people to get there, or we have to murder as many people as we can before we unleash the thing.
Yeah.
We've had many conversations in the past that sometimes you have to force people to do the right thing. We often bring up Georgia and desegregating schools and whatnot, right?
I wouldn't call instrumentality the right thing to do, but that's a discussion.
Right. Funny enough, I watched plenty of comedy channels where they kind of play off of what's the Tom Cruise movie where the aliens come and try to take over Earth?
Oh yeah. That's a different movie. I think I thought you were talking about Minority Report.
No. Yeah, this is the alien movie where I think that the joke is that what if that thing had come to merge all of humanity into one omni mind or something like that?
Yeah.
And the joke there is that he comes with like a nuke in the thing, and the guy, the omni brain or whatever it is there, tries to talk him down as though it's just having a bad relationship problem. Whoa, what are you doing coming with this? You guys haven't even talked to me about this problem before. I didn't know you didn't want to merge with the omni mind. The benefits of merging with the Omni-Mind become obvious once you merge with the Omni-Mind. That sort of thing.
Yeah.
So it's the idea that you said that you wouldn't want it, right? And you wouldn't want it forced upon you. And it's like, well, if it's better for you. Oh, did you watch Pluribus?
I heard about it. No,
the 8-episode show that was on Apple TV? Oh, that was pretty good, too. And that was their whole thing. Like, obviously there's an argument to be made there that that's not actually good. But the element that, yeah, no, we're constantly going to be working to bring you in on this, even if you say you don't want it, because you wouldn't know that you wouldn't want it until you're part of it. And then you're like, well, yeah, but once I'm part of it, I can't get out of it.
Yeah, that's the point.
Yeah, well, like I said, I'm for it. The other note, much shorter. Dream Chaser from The Changing World. It's honestly super commendable and refreshing how serious Theta is taking this watch through. Really enjoying these discussions on the watch through so far.
Well, thank you.
Most people had comments about when the DS came out, so
yeah.
As I said, you must have said something.
It's a passing comment, like
I never owned a DS, never played with a DS. I would have I would absolutely have no commentary about a DS. I wouldn't even probably recognize something that looked like the DS. I probably would have said something about like a flip phone before I would have said DS.
Yeah, I think Sanji was playing with something or other. I think that's what it is. I vaguely have it in my mind. Like that's why I said it. Not that important, at least not to me anyway.
Right. I'm just indicating. It's either that or it just happened to be in the show and everyone was a thought of mine. Hey, fucking DS.
Yeah.
All right. Well, all that said, nothing left to do but hop on in and see what we get.
But before we get started,
make sure that you hit the like button,
hit that subscribe button,
comment down below to feed that algorithm.
on top of all that, If you want to watch more shows like this,
Unfiltered.
Uncensored.
And uncut.
as well as some early access stuff,
You can check it out over on the Patreon.
It's just $5 a month, but hey, no pressure.
There's zero pressure in order to do that. It's just a little bit of extra support, and it would be greatly appreciated.
この粒子ビームはガンダムエクシア目標補足3機のガンダムスローネは紛争補助対象と断定し
You must be hungry.
武力介入を開始する
Wait,
エクシ
the suits are always like, it shows off any muscle that they have. In this
Yeah.
case, like the curve of his inward gut.
Yeah.
ア何しやがる違うお前たちがその機体がガンダムであるものか
I mean, technically, in this
Yeah.
universe, they are Gundams.
Yeah. Yes.
I think there's one definition of what a Gundam is in this universe.
It's the ones that use the solar
Reactor.
engine, the reactor, yeah.
Well, it's either GN drive or solar reactor, and
Yeah.
I think they've implied that it's the same thing.
Yeah.
So, technically, they are Gundams. I think there was a list of names I was going up behind Lock-On in the background there.
Yeah. Family members?
I did. That was another thing that I checked, by the way. The grave where Howard was at, the graves
Yeah.
around him had names,
Mhm.
and obviously those are just generic names. I mean,
Yeah.
if I looked up just the name itself, there's a bunch
Yes.
of people with those names, but then we including Gundam in that, you get nothing. So, well, actually, you get hits, but not ones that involve those names. Like, oh, the winner of a card game tournament. It's like, oh, was that it? Did they name somebody after a winner of a card game? No. That name is nowhere in that article. So,
Yeah.
But yeah, the element that we've talked about before, the Thrones even showed up.
Yeah.
That inciting conflict can't make you not a Gundam because the Gundams incite conflict.
Yeah. Pretty much.
I mean, all of them. Being a Gundam incites conflict.
聞こえるかエクシアのパイロットなぜ行動を邪魔する我々は戦争根絶のために違う貴様はガンダムではない錯乱したか
Well, I'm glad we had this discussion.
ミハイ
Yeah.
了解だぜ兄貴
To be fair to the Trinity group, he literally wanted to discuss this first. I'm more of a fan of the bit model of Gundam. You hacked my Veda.
Yeah.
バーチ目標を破壊する
エクシアがスローネと戦っている。たった今バーチも交戦に加わった模様。ティエリアまで。
ガンダム同士で戦うだなんて下手すりゃ友倒れだぞいいじゃねえかおやす
But
Okay. Yeah, sure.
short character lessons. In case you've forgotten.
どこなのに。
しかし彼らの行動が計画の一部である可能性も
私たちがこうして動くことも計画に入ってるかもしれないわ。
スメラギさん
Remember that
Yeah,
they're not
like somebody
communicating with Veda
wrote-
anymore.
Yeah, they're writing it. So, yeah, they're part of the plan that somebody wrote a script and now we're watching it.
No,
Of course they're part of
remember,
the plan.
she's the
I know.
forecaster, but they're also not putting their information into Veda anymore, so...
Yeah. They don't trust Veda anymore.
好きにしろってことじゃないですか戦術予報士の名が泣くぜ
本当そうよね。アレリアは出撃する。
ここでプトレマイオスを守るよこうなった以上ここも安全じゃない出て行きたい気持ちはくすぶってるけどね
Because the other half of me is bloodthirsty.
Yeah, and really wants to kill somebody.
あら見てたけど
It's kind of a funny indictment, though, of the entire situation. That the two groups that are focused on eradicating war go to war against each other.
Yeah.
And it's the original group that initiates the war amongst the Gundams.
Yeah.
Again, Johann Trinity tried to discuss this twice.
そうエクシアの新型のガンダムに
こんなことをしていいのでしょうか。
さあどうかしら。本論私はねこの世界が変わ
Okay.
りさえすればいいの。どんな手段を使ってでも。
ガンダ
Oh,
ム同士の
she doesn't care.
What their methods
思
are.
ったより早かった
Yeah.
第3段階への移行もう後戻
I
り
guess he was expected.
Remember,
You know
he's
what
an
I say about
observer,
some-
so
Yeah. No, but about him smirking about it.
yeah, I'm talking about what Alejandro said though.
Yeah.
GL フィールドか。
So I guess GN particles can't penetrate GN fields.
まさか君と共にフォーメーションを使う日が来ようとは思ってもみなかった。俺もだ。
Except for like episode 1 where we had did that
Yeah.
in episode 2 and episode 3.
S1E19 F52 まで。ティエリアとセツナが。
That's right, Lex Luthor ripped this off for the new Superman movie.
そんな時間が与えてもらえると思っているのか。その機動性では。いただき。などれ。
Trial. By the way, you're just standing still while all this is happening. You can see time
Yeah.
moving around you.
なんだ。機体の制御が。
So it's the hacking Gundam.
Yeah.
Fair enough, that's a mech type in the tabletop RPG Lancer.
何が。
But you should have fired instead of watching him Sailor Moon transform.
制御下に置く。これがガンダムなどの真の能力。ティエリア・アーデにのみ
Wait, would that imply that you're still connected to Veda?
マイスターへのトライアルシステム。
Quick, activate the hack.
君たちはガンダムマイスターにふさわしくない。そうとも万死に値する。
As I said, you're still connected to Veda.
強制解除された。一体何が。
レベル7の領域にあるデータが一部改ざんされている。このデータ領域は一体。拒否された。
Which is funny because it was Alejandro's face that we just saw smirk. And he's the one who claimed to have limited access to Veda too.
ユナメスか。
これで3対3だ。フェアプレーの精神でいこうぜ。
やってやんよ。ミハイル、ネーナ、交代するぞ。
そりゃねえぜ兄貴。
どうして？
ガンダム同士で潰し合えば計画に支障が出る。
わかったよ。逃げんのかい。
君は私たちよりも先に戦うべき相手がいる。そうだろう。ロックオンストラトス。いや、ニー
Yeah,
ル・ティラン
that's right. We have access to Veda's information.
ディランディ。貴様、俺のデータを。
ベーダを通じて閲覧させてもらった。レベル7の情報を。ロックオン。君がガンダムマイスターになってまで復讐を遂げたい者の一人は君のすぐそばにいるぞ。なんだと。クルジス共和国の反政府ゲリラ組織 KPSA。その構成員の中にソラン・イブラヒムがいた。ああ？誰だよそいつは。
All right, it was his real name.
コードネーム、刹那 F セイヘイ。
Which means that he told Maria his real last name. Wait, did he tell Maria that, or did he tell Saji that? Again, I enjoy it because it's the Thrones that are clearly doing the wrong shit, but it's the Gundams, the celestial being, that are instigating a fight between the group that's doing the wrong shit but is doing the same shit that they do for the right purposes.
こうなったら彼らの要求を受け入れ武装解除を行うしか。バカなことを。そんなことをすれば各国のアイデンティティは崩壊する。
I mean, technically, you're in super blocks. You don't have national identities anymore. You shouldn't.
関係者と名乗る者がネットワークを通じてこちらに接触してきました。それは本当かね。組織に関するデータが添えられていました。おそらく事実かと。なるほど。内部分裂というわけか。神は私たちを見捨てなかったようだ。 攻撃を受けたアイリス社工場跡には多くの遺族が駆けつけ悲しみに包まれています。攻撃をした3機のモビルスーツは新型のガンダムとみられ、その過激な行動に
Not a comfortable looking bed.
No, this looks like it's a revenge arc for Sanji, huh?
You mean Saji?
Saji, yeah.
Wait, I'm confused now. Problem is that he's the same name as the cook from One Piece, who I've seen
Saji.
1,000 episodes of. So.
She gonna break up with him? Also, the bed is huge compared to her size, anyway.
学校を休んじゃダメだよ。一緒にいてくれるのは嬉しいけど、でもいつまでもいたらいけないよ。
そんなことできないよ。ルイスを一人にして帰るなんて。
サジの夢は宇宙で働くことでしょ。私のせいでサジの夢が叶わないのは嫌。
でも
今一緒にいても後で辛くなるよ。私はずっと引け目を感じて、サジは後悔し続ける。
そんなこと。
ねえ、私の夢をサジに託してもいい？
え？
夢を叶えて。それが私の夢なの。だから。
Yeah, this is a breakup.
叶えて、サジ。
ルイス。
約束よ。
No, the episode isn't almost over.
No.
Despite this vastly appearing like an end credit scene.
Having said all this, I think this is one of the best romances Gundam has ever done. In spite of how it is right now.
I'm considering 8them as team as possibly an argument.
Possibly. But that felt very rushed. Sincere but rushed.
I think all their time together probably fits the same amount of time we got from these two in 19 episodes.
Yeah, but the way this is...
Well, they started off as a couple.
Yeah.
Whereas Aina and Shiro? I can never remember who it is. Had to meet each other and then overcome being on opposite sides of a war, so. As I said before, these two are my favorites, so hard to argue against you. It's just
ルイス・ハレビーよろしくねサジ
あれね
いきなり呼び捨て
どんな
あいやそういうわけじゃないけど
よかった
well, like remember that thing kids say these days. Bro's over here drowning while some of us are.
Yeah.
A buxom blonde, rich girl wanders up to you while you're asleep, and lifelong romance starts. I mean, obviously
Well, not
not right
lifelong.
now. I'm just saying, like,
面倒なこと頼んで
how much can fall in your lap while you're asleep?
やっぱりラグナ・ハーベイよね
そりゃそうでしょう。リニアトレイン事業の総裁、国際経済団のトップなんですから。この男ならモビルスーツを建造する財力もありますし、軌道エレベーターも自在に扱います。ということで、取材はここまででやめときましょう。
どうして
何言ってんすか。相手はうちの大株主ですよ。ちょっかい出したら潰されちゃいますよ。
だから裏で調べるんでしょ
けど
やめないわよ私ようやく手がかりを見つ
And
け
for a
た
reporter, she hasn't, like, come across the information that the guy she's supposed to be paying more money to, by the way, is dead.
お前は KPSA に所属していたのか。ああ、クルジス出身か。
I don't know what the S stands for. K's gotta be Kyrgyz, P's gotta be Peoples, A's gotta be Army.
トリニティが言っていたことは事実だよ。俺の両親と妹は KPSA の自爆テロに巻き込まれて死亡した。すべての始まりは太陽光発電計画に伴う世界規模での石油輸出規制が始まってからだ。化石燃料に頼って生きるのはもうやめにしようってな。
Except for, you know, again, plastics,
一番割を食うのは
of all
中東
things.
諸国だ。輸出規制で国の経済が傾き、国民は貧困にあえぐ。貧しき者は神にすがり、神の代弁者の声に耳を傾ける。富や権力を求める浅ましい人間の声をな。そんでもって20年以上にも及ぶ太陽光発電紛争の出来上がりってわけだ。神の土地に住む者たちの生
So that's side by side by War in the Pocket.
もちろん一方的に輸出規制を決議した国連もそうだ。
Or
だが
Iron Blooded Elephants.
宗教が悪いわけじゃ
Which you haven't seen, as you said.
太陽光発電システムだってそうだ。けどな、どうしてもその中で世界は歪む。それくらい分かってる。お前が KPSA に利用されていたことも、望まない戦いを続けていたこともな。だがその歪みに巻き込まれ、俺は家族を失った。失ったんだよ。
だからマイスターになることを受け入れたの。
I wonder what the fuck the point was, though.
矛盾してることも分かっている。
I think he's trying to forgive him.
No,
like,
no,
to
no. That
understand,
why
right
would
now.
Kyrgyz, a bunch of freedom fighters, not freedom fighters, but you know, indoctrinate people from Kyrgyz, bomb Ireland?
この世界を根本的に変える必要があるからだ。
Stop targeting one of the nations that had the solar or was developing the solar plan.
人を殺め続けた罰は世界を変えてから。
It's such an out there target.
だがその前にやることがある。ロックオン。説俺は今無性にお前を狙い撃ちたい。家族の敵を撃たせろ。恨みを晴らさせろ。
Fade to credits, show's over.
Well, he didn't flinch.
俺は神を信じていた。信じ込まされていた。
だから俺は悪くないってか。
この世界に神はいない。どうして？この世界に神はいない。
答えになってねえぞ。
神を信じ、神がいないことを知った。あの男がそうした。
Again, more Gundam 00 trope.
PSA のリーダー。
Setsuna says something and it's supposed to sound important. I used to believe in God. Setsuna, what the fuck does that have to do with it? I'm talking to you right now. I'm telling you right now about you killing my parents.
奴はモラリアで PMC に所属していた。
民間軍事会社。
ゲリラの次は傭兵か。ただの戦争中毒じゃねえか。
モラリアの戦場で俺は奴と出会った。
そうか。あの時コックピットから降りたのは。
奴の存在を確かめたかった。奴の神がどこにいるのか知りたかった。もし
It's been protecting him the whole time.
神がいないとしたら、俺は今まで。
刹那、これだけは聞かせろ。お前はエクシアで何をする？
戦争の根絶。
俺が撃てばできなくなる。
構わない。代わりにお前がやってくれれば、この歪んだ世界を変えてくれ。だが生きているなら俺は戦う。ソラン・イブラヒムとし
I
て
think he has the power
ストレスタルビー
of his convictions. I'll give him that much.
I don't know. The conversations with Setsuna never make sense to me.
俺がガンダムだ。
It takes him
Well, I think
20
the
minutes
same-
to say something that should take like 2 sentences.
True.
You killed my parents. I used to believe in God. Shut the fuck up, Setsuna. Just talk to me like a weird person.
ありがとう。
Well, actually,
最高の褒め言葉だ。
Let me tell you what
No,
Ali Sasha,
remember
Al
that
Sasha has
his-
made me do. I killed my own family because of the indoctrination. No, it's never so fucking clear. It's always,
Yeah,
I
that's
used to believe in God. God doesn't exist in this world. And then, because we went through a flashback, he'll come back and say the same thing again. There's no God in this world. God doesn't exist. Yeah, you just said that, Setsuna. We've been here the whole time.
襲撃を受けるとは。あいつら統治狂いやがって。
チューまでしてあげたのに。
ラグナに指示を仰ごう。
yeah, do you guys forget that you killed an entire wedding party? Oh, she did anyway.
望むところよ。
I guess that wasn't much of a thing. And why would they attack us, huh?
What are those lessons?
No idea. Nuclear warheads?
Nope. They should be pretty obvious, actually. You've seen them every episode.
Have we?
Yes, we have.
I have no idea what they are.
I cannot legitimately think of an episode where we haven't seen them.
I mean, they're GN generators.
There you go. That's not the name, but yeah, there you go.
Yeah, they're solar generators. So wait a minute. Now, Celestial Being is giving.
Don't know where you're getting that from. I'm not going to answer questions just because we're recording 2 episodes back to back. This is going to be note-taking shit. I'm just indicating to you what you should already know.
Because I never seen them like that. They look like eggs.
You have. They look exactly like that when they're on Exia's back.
Yeah, but
So all you would have to do is see Exia one more time and be like, oh, that thing on the back, that looks exactly like those things.
Yeah, it's an egg like.
I was just saying, if it's
thing,
that
yeah.
fucking obvious, I'm going to be like, hey, Lessons, you know what that is.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, like I said, I just don't like... As I told you before, the joke back in the day was I would equate Setsuna to Plank from Ed, Edd, and Eddy because he's so, with that lax personality. Hold on.
大いなる計画の改変が世界のバランスを劇的に変えた。その中で人は涙し、戦い、そして死するしかないのか。次回、変革の刃。この苦悩、誰に届く?
So what's the
Anyway,
idea of giving?
Sorry, just to continue that thought so I'm not left on the insulting the show one more time thing.
Mm-hmm.
I don't like those scenes with Setsuna. He doesn't talk like a person. He talks like a Gundam Wing character. Which I don't like. Yeah.
Child.
Well, no, it's just like, say, I hate it when characters in shows don't just say the most important thing to them right off the bat. Like,
Yeah.
I need you to know this thing. This thing will make everything clear. Instead, it's hyperbole, you know? I used to believe in God, but then I was forced to believe in God, and then I stopped believing in God after they made me kill my parents. I was indoctrinated, made me kill my parents, and I did a bunch of awful things because of that indoctrination. You know, and then let me tell you more about Ali Al Sachez, which is the person really responsible ultimately for the things that happened in your life. Could be 2-minute conversation.
Yeah, that's true.
And
I
I just hate that element of his character and can't finish sentence.
Now I'm wondering what's the point of giving the 3 power blocks access to the generators?
Who?
I mean, who?
Who's giving them access?
Well, it says somebody within the organization, but we don't know who it is. It could be.
No,
Alejandro,
I believe
but
they said somebody with information about the organization.
unless unless there's a parallel organization that has infiltrated celestial being.
I've
It has to
literally
come from
professed. I don't think I professed this. I brought this up in my notes. I'm not giving away information because this is just idle speculation on my part. The element that there was there is a line between the group that found the wreckage at Jupiter, the group that finds Purple Haru, celestial being copying Purple Haru to make other Haru that recognize the programming to say brother and everything like that, to then Trinity having Purple Haru.
Or maybe the people we think are celestial being are not the actual celestial being. They're the ones who copy stuff.
Either way you want to look at that, there's still a trail of whoever was doing the experiments. I think the indication is clearly Sacha is the name. It's in my head. Scheinberg. Performing experiments, or not himself, but obviously whoever takes the mantle up, because dude, that was already 100 years after he had died. But does that there, then group comes in, takes information, does information. Now, obviously, you are already putting out there either a separate group takes that and runs with it and claims to be celestial being, or real celestial being gets it, and then the divergence there is either real celestial being then gets the information, or fake celestial being gets the information. It's basically just a Y shape, Either this has happened this way or this has happened this way, and nowhere in between twixt they meet.
But that doesn't answer the question of why either the parallel organization or breakaway organization or competing organization or celestial being themselves, or a third, even I guess it will be a third party here, who has information about both, like an observer, perhaps, like Alejandro, would.
Oh, you mean the only guy who grinned during the entire confrontation? That was insane. Yes,
Ribbons also grinned as well.
They grinned at different moments, if that matters.
True, but yeah, timing is everything, I suppose.
Well, I mean, it's what's happening when they're grinning. Again, that's note moment, right? Yeah. Go back and take notes about when did Ribbons grin versus when did Alejandro grin.
And what are they trying to get out of it? If, in fact, ironically, an episode or two ago, Trinity attacked an American base to kill the band that was discovering what was happening in the first place. So they can be this, I'm going to send someone to kill this person, but then I'm going to give them the very secrets that I'm trying to keep. Unless it's someone else who's, again, it's confusing, right? Who gets stands to benefit, right? And why would they do it?
Well, it's also an entire Antarctic base.
Yeah.
Who has an entire Antarctic base?
Well, Antarctica should not belong to anyone, really. This place.
Well, obviously, can't say obviously because I'm just speculating with you. So,
Celestial Being probably is the only one that has an Antarctic base.
Well, which one?
If there's more than one.
Well, I mean, the problem here is that we should just say Trinity or Celestial Being. The idea is that there is only one Celestial Being.
Yeah.
I mean, I could share from the element of the manga part stuff that I was reading that the group in the manga had their own name as well. I wish I could remember it, but can't.
But even then, I don't understand what they would gain. I mean, I would suppose they would gain more from keeping this to themselves and using it for whatever they want to do than giving it to the very people that are controlling the world right now, right?
I mean, you can also see that there was more of them than there are Gundams.
True.
And the only advantage the Gundams have is the technological advantage, which is, assuming these things get used immediately, should be moot.
Oh, depending on, you have to build a system around the, I guess you can, upgrade your existing top-of-the-line units like the flags and...
Yeah, it'd be a real shame if, I don't know, the Union had an entire anti-Gundam force already prepared to make stuff like this. I don't know, call them M-SWAD.
Yeah. Although their base got trashed and their
one of their
scientific.
bases. They're a unit within the Union. That wasn't their only thing.
Yeah, true enough. Yeah. More questions and answers, which I don't mind. Just wish I had the answers to, And we're at episode 20 out of, 50?
We're in season 1, episode 20, out of 2 seasons of 25 episodes apiece.
Yeah, so we're 5 down from this season and then 25 more in the other season. Yeah. We're getting there, but not quite there yet.
All right, well, I think with all that said, nothing left to do but to wrap up here. So once again, I have been Theta, this has been Lessons, we've been Stoneface Reactions, and we will catch you next time. Bye-bye.
Hey everybody, thanks for watching another Stoneface Reactions. If you have an idea of another video we could go ahead and watch, go ahead and put it in the comments down below and we'll add it to the wheel. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and let us know what you thought about this video, what parts you liked. And until then, we'll see you next time. Is this too goofy?